I moved into my uncle's old farmhouse after he passed away. It was deep in the countryside, miles from the nearest town. I thought I'd finally found peace. The house was old. Every step I took creaked like it was remembering something. But it was mine now. I could do whatever I wanted, except for one room. The basement. My uncle left behind only one rule. Never open the basement door. He'd padlocked it shut. Said it was dangerous. Okay? At first, I didn't think anything of it. Basements are creepy by nature. Okay? But every night, I was reminded of my uncle's warning. First, it was just a noise. A soft thud. Then what sounded like crying. Faint, but distinct. Like someone was trying to make their way up through the floorboards. I told myself it was the pipes, or maybe animals. But every night, it got louder and clearer. Help me. That's what I heard. After a week, I broke. I cut the padlock. The door creaked open like it hadn't moved in years. The air hit me like a wall, damp and metallic. It was pitch black. My flashlight barely cut through the gloom. The stairs moaned with every step. I reached the bottom and nearly dropped the light. There was a cage. Rusted, big enough for a person. Inside were bones, a child's shoe, scratch marks on the walls, and in the corner, a trunk. I don't want to open that. I felt sick. I needed to get out of there. As I turned to leave, something glinted in the darkness. I shone my light on it. More bones. A ring. I picked it up. It was heavy. Graved on it was a name, a date, and a single word. Hope. Hope. Was this my uncle's? What had happened down here? Who had been locked in this cage? And why? There was only one way to find out. I went back upstairs, called the police. They dug for days. Found what I couldn't bear to see. I moved out. Couldn't sleep since. Couldn't stop hearing it. Kill me. Still echoing. Last week, I drove past the house. Someone new lives there now. A family. I swear I saw a face in the basement window. The blind was slightly ajar. I slowed down, peering into the darkness, praying I wouldn't see. But there it was. A girl. No older than 10, maybe younger. Her eyes wide and pleading. Kay slammed on the brakes. She was gone. But as I passed, I could have sworn I heard crying again. Help me, she whispered. And then the sound of a door slamming shut.
This happened last night. I woke up because my daughter got up to go to the toilet. About 15 minutes later, she comes back, gets in bed, and tells me that she had the most horrible dream. She won't remember the whole thing, but there was a little girl standing in front of her. The little girl beckoned to her, and then she woke up. Well, I dismissed it and fell back asleep. 20 minutes later, I woke up again and for some reason couldn't get back to sleep. So I lay there thinking. Suddenly, I heard a very distinct thump in the room. Like something solid hit the floor. I sat up in bed and started listening. All of a sudden, I heard footsteps in the hallway outside our bedroom door. Footsteps like a little girl wearing slippers would make. I jumped out of bed and told my husband to get up. He just grunted and pulled the duvet over his head. I crept closer to the bedroom door and continued to listen. I heard the footsteps stop right outside the door, and then I heard whispering. My husband and I froze. I strained to listen and tried to make out what they were saying, but I couldn't make out the words. The whispering stopped, and then I heard the footsteps start moving away. My husband and I breathed a sigh of relief and collapsed back onto the bed. In the morning, after, of course, not sleeping at all, I told my husband about the sound, and he told me that he heard it too. We checked everywhere, and there's no way anyone could have been in there. Our bedroom is small, and the only access to it is through the door. There are no windows and no air vents. And even if there was, it is hardly likely that someone would crawl through an air vent in the middle of the night to stand outside our bedroom door and whisper. Since then, I've heard whispering in the house on many occasions and also footsteps. I've come to accept that we probably live in a haunted house and that there are spirits that live here with us. However, last night's event still gives me goosebumps and creeps me out thinking about. Update. To all those commenting that I should call Ghostbusters, don't worry. I've already done that. Their response was that unless ghosts are showing themselves, like interacting with objects, shaking beds, etc., they can't do anything about it. They suggested that I should try and contact the previous owner and ask if anything weird has happened to them. Now, I've done that and waited. Let's just say I'm not disappointed. Update to the person who suggested that I record it. I actually am recording it. It's just that my ghost detecting equipment isn't high-tech enough yet. I'll update when I find out more.
You ever had a date from hell? You know, one of those where everything goes wrong? You feel humiliated? Maybe you never want to see that person ever again. Yeah, me neither. Actually, it's just happened. So I was scrolling through Hinge. You know, the usual. Swiping left, swiping right. Just looking for someone to go on a date with. And then I came across this girl. We started chatting, and she was really funny. We had a lot of things in common. So we decided to meet up. Her name was Evie. She said she was a book nerd, a single mom, a Sailor Moon fan. I thought she was pretty. She had long, flowing brown hair, warm eyes, a cute nose, nice lips. But what really stood out to me were her teeth. They were really white and straight. I mean, like model teeth. We talked for hours over wine and cheese at her place. She was super sweet. We laughed a lot. Then she looked at me with these big eyes and said, "Come over tonight." So I did. I went back to her place. I let myself in. The apartment was really quiet, like you couldn't even hear a pin drop. It was a little bit dim, but it was clean, like really clean. There wasn't a single speck of dust anywhere, and there weren't any family photos or anything that would suggest that she actually lived here. I wandered into the kitchen and opened the drawer where the silverware should have been. Instead, I found one human tooth in there. That's when I heard a whisper. "It's not real." Spun around, but there was no one there. I walked down the hallway and entered what I assumed was her bedroom. On the nightstand, I saw a photo of her from what I assumed was the day before, because it was still in her PJs. I got closer. I wanted to say hi, but as soon as I called out to her, she appeared in the doorway. She was smiling, but it didn't reach her eyes. As she stepped into the light, her face began to glitch like an old television set. Her body bent at an unnatural angle. Her skin rippled like a piece of cloth being blown in the wind. I don't know why, but I started running. I sprinted down the hallway, which seemed to stretch on forever. It was like a never-ending maze. I burst through the front door and found myself outside. It was silent. No birds, no planes, no cars. It was just unnerving quiet. I walked home feeling uneasy, like something was following me. I could have sworn I heard footsteps behind me, but when I turned around, there was no one there. When I got home, there was a package on my doorstep. I brought it inside. It was a knitted doll, a little girl in a Victorian nightgown holding a wooden toy. And then I noticed something. The face was a perfect replica of my own face, except it wasn't. It was stitched on. Then I saw her. She was in the window across the street. She was waving at me and smiling, but it didn't reach her eyes. I stared back, frozen with fear. Suddenly, she vanished. I blinked, and when I looked back, she was in my window. She stepped inside. It was my apartment. How is this possible? She floated closer and asked, "Want to go out again?" The screen fades to black, and you hear a whisper, "Want to go out again?"